Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for a match of the Rugby World Cup qualifiers. There is one spot still on the line in that repechage tournament taking place at this point in time. This game, Samoa versus Namibia. Now, the Samoans, they were able to get themselves a good win over the Brazilians in round number one, whereas Namibia, they had that shock loss to Belgium. Many people did not anticipate a Namibia loss, and then we almost just saw the Belgium side lose to Brazil, but pulling off the victory, so they sit 2 from 2, and they are at the top of the overall bunch. They will have to play Samoa next week, and of course Samoa would love nothing more than to be sitting also on those 2 wins as well. What we will do is we'll stick me over to the side. There we go, but these at least were the qualification points heading into this round of the competition. So Belgium, they just managed to get themselves the win over the Brazilians, so they will bump themselves up to, I believe it will now be 8 points in the overall standings. In fact, they are now on 9 with that points differential of, I believe it is plus 10, I want to say, for Belgium at this point in time. But for Samoa, they are in the box seat. If they are able to get themselves this win over the Namibians, they will be moving a lot closer to qualification. If they were to lose, though, to Namibia here, then it all gets very interesting heading into that final round. But looking first of all at what Samoa were able to do, they were able to get the win over the Brazilians, 48 points to 10. It is a midweek game next week, so around that 5 days away from taking place up against the Belgian side. For Namibia, it is not all lost as of yet. If they were able to win this game, they would also need a massive win over the Brazilians. That game taking place, the earlier game out of the 2, but it does seem like at the moment it's all going to come down to Belgium versus Samoa, and that is going to be for that final last qualifying spot of the Rugby World Cup. Now, 2 out of these 4 sides were in last World Cup 2023, that being Samoa and Namibia. They play off against each other here, but we have got there, it's on Rugby Pass TV, says Dylan, although I do know also if you are in New Zealand, it is on Sky Sport. Originally, I thought that it was going to be Rugby Pass TV here as well, but obviously Sky decided to pick up the rights, so if you are in New Zealand, it gets a little bit more tricky to watch it if you do not have that Sky subscription. We got there, good afternoon, how are you, Hamish? Do you know why I'm happy, says Mohodin? I assume you're happy because Andre Pollard was selected in the Springboks side, and also we have got there, which channel is it on? If you are watching on Sky, it is on Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. We have got there, how did Namibia lose to Belgium? But how did Samoa end up here? Yeah, there's a lot of interesting parts that have, I guess, got us to this stage. Samoa, they did lose their original qualification tournament, I guess you could say, for the Pacific Nations Cup. They finished at the bottom of their group. So from there, they had a one-on-one match up against the Chileans. In fact, it was actually 2 matches in that series, and they lost. I think it was they drew the first, lost the second, so that was their opportunity gone from qualifying there, and now end up in the repechage for Namibia. Unfortunately, they have just lost the African qualification and then also now find themselves in this repechage as well. But yeah, Belgium looking at the moment like a very handy side that definitely Samoa will have their eyes on, wanting to make sure that they don't underestimate them, but it is a stacked Samoan lineup here. Looking through at the front row, it is Scott Seo, Sama Malolo, and Taitai Tuimanga as the front 3 for this contest. Taleni Su alongside Theo McFarland, who is captain for this match. He is slotting in at 5. Miracle Whaialangi, he was tearing it up in the Bunnings NPC, now back ready to go for this contest for the Samoans. Also in that midfield, or in fact, in that loose forward trio, Alamanda Matonga and also Patelo Mapu slotting in as the number 8. Jonathan Tamatene alongside Rodney Yona in that 19 combo. Va'a Pilo Maleko, anyone who has been following the Sevens for a long time, that man is a real handful. And hopefully he is able to do very nicely out there on the field and transfers over to Rugby Union just as well as he did to Rugby Sevens. In the midfield, Lalomelo alongside Tamua Manu. Then out on the right wing, Latrell Akoing, and then Jacob Umanga. He is there as that number 15 option. But they are just starting the national anthems. It is the Samoan one that is first. Morning, Kiwi Lads crew. I was a nice little surprise to see this live pop up. Never knew it was on. Says Naz Williams. Yeah, so this game is the second of the qualification. And then Wednesday next week, same time as this, is when Samoa will be playing Belgium, and that looks like it's the game that will determine qualification for the competition. We have got there, G'day Hamish, and Rugby Pass TV has it. Says, hey, no, yeah, so it does depend on where you are in the world, but Rugby Pass TV, I believe everywhere outside of maybe New Zealand and Australia, I want to say does have it available for this one. Any Facebook Lives? Not that I know of, but Rugby Pass TV, perfect option if you are outside of New Zealand. I guess I'm very happy that Pollard is playing. What games you doing the weekend? Says Mohadin, so we are going to be doing that Springboks versus Italy matchup, also New Zealand, England. We've got the 2 games overlapping, Fiji, France, as well as Ireland versus Australia, and then Argentina, Scotland, I believe, will be our other one. So I think there are 5 matches that I am going to be covering. The Samoa national anthem has just come to a close, but leading the side, it is Louis van der Westhuizen. For the Namibians, he was there for the Rugby World Cup 2023 when we did see this side go head-to-head up against the likes of New Zealand, up against France. I hear someone's phone ringing. Did someone leave their phone like right next to the national anthem speaker? That Brazil versus Belgium game was a very good game. Yeah, very close in the end. I did actually look at it at 79 minutes in and saw that Brazil were leading. And that, for me, was the big curveball in terms of it could have completely changed this whole tournament. If that had happened, all Samoa would have needed in this game was a bonus point win, and they would have guaranteed qualification heading into the last round. But then, of course, Namibia pulling off that last-minute try, and that did help them out. And at this matchup, but a decent-looking backline here for Namibia. They have got in the lineup Kisting alongside Lubsa as that 9 and 10 combination. Grayling out on the wing. Dazel, he's got plenty of experience at 12. And then now at 13, Fundermerva and also Devan Rizzo, I should say, at number 15. Belgium had a full red in their last game. Says Dylan, they did. And that seemed to change the momentum. Brazil seemed to take a little bit of it at the end of the first half. They started getting back into the game, and then that red card definitely did give the Belgian side a little bit of a scare. Hello, Mr. Kiwi Sir. I just saw the Bok line up, and wow. Says man here, yeah, it's certainly a different looking team, isn't it? And Belgium got the rugby team, damn good stuff. Graham worldwide, says Naz Williams there. Belgium missed 2 kicks before getting that last minute try. Says hey no. And there as well. But it looks like now the 2 sides going to be facing off just before the kickoff, and then we will be ready to go. Do let me know your score predictions for this game. Now, I will mention the odds makers for this contest have got Samoa winning by at least 25 points, or somewhere around there seems to be about the par margin. We haven't got there, Mr. Kiwi Sir. Are you feeling better? You look a lot better. Says Mania, I'm still about 80% better, I would say. There's still that 20% that's hanging around a little bit at the moment. The nose is still a bit blocked and the throat's still a bit scratchy, but hopefully it comes right by the weekend. It's definitely hanging around for longer than I thought it would. But not a massive amount of crowd in the stands for this match. It is being played in Dubai, by the way, ladies and gents. Samoa 30, Namibia 33. Says Haino, okay, so you're calling for a little bit of an upset, as well as the fact that, so in that case, Haino, are you saying Belgium to win the whole competition? Or are you going Samoa to fire back next week and beat Belgium to then qualify for that World Cup? Samoa 13 plus, hopefully, says Naz Williams. And also, what do you think of the Springboks team? Very, very different. Rassi has decided to just throw a few curveballs in there for just the sake of it, really. But as long as they play all right, that's the main thing. Whereas George says Katzenel, his brothers are playing against Samoa, says Katzenel. And there's, we'll have to try and convince George to come back on for another live stream. I was trying to get him to do a few more rugby league ones. That was the one benefit of the league time zone of those matches taking place. They were actually at like 6 p.m. New Zealand time, so it worked out quite nicely. But yeah, it's very hard to organise for a farmer to be able to come in for a stream because, as many of you will know, they pretty much have to work whatever hours they have to. So it makes it relatively difficult. And normally it would be midweek that he would be available, but then of course there's not much rugby. Looks like Samoa are just getting those hands sprayed to try and limit the amount of knock-ons. We did see a ton of them throughout the Pacific Nations Cup for the Samoan team. In fact, much more than they would have liked. Lalomelo is out there on the field at the moment for the Samoans. And we have got there Good on you for doing this one, Uso. And up to Manu. Says Dexter in there as well. If Samoa win this game, they would sit top of the table. But they would still have to beat Belgium next Wednesday, New Zealand time, to be able to confirm qualification. It will all come down to that last game. There's still quite a bit on the line for this competition, but we are just about ready to kick off. It will be Namibia from right to left for the early stages of this contest. Last game between Brazil and Belgium was extremely close. For another one here. How about a draw in the Samoa versus Belgium and then Namibia to beat Brazil? Okay, so I'm starting to think you really want Namibia to go through. Is the way that I'm hearing that. But yeah, definitely the surprise, them getting beaten by Belgium in that first round, even though Belgium, theoretically on rankings, I believe is actually above Namibia at the moment. It's just weird to know that either Namibia or Samoa aren't going to the World Cup, potentially even both, depending on the result here. I'm holding thumbs. Namibia wins as a South African, but I think Samoa will win 45-15, but it is kicked off and nicely taken by the captain, Theo McFarland. Samoa now to have the ball in hand. They are wearing the blue for this contest, or at least the blue top, white shorts. Namibia, they are white top, blue shorts. Kicked in behind from Rodney Yona. Looking for a low skidding kick here at the Sevens Stadium in Dubai. There's going to be a Sevens leg not a mile away. There's actually quite a bit going on in Dubai at the moment. I believe there is a golf tournament also taking place, but Rodney Yona looking to run this one back. It's just a bump off the tackle of Rizzo. I was at the family station he works on. Says Katzenell, somewhat. It's also, though, silage season starting to really ramp up here in New Zealand as well, so that is a bit separate, and he's also flat out doing that now, running this one forward here. Good attacking set play here from the Samoans with the offload. Tamatine now. Rodney on a no-look pass to Theo McFarland, who does knock it on, and they will go back now for the scrum. Namibia with the feed only about 23 metres out from their try line. When's your birthday, Hamish? Send you KFC family feast and a stripper, says Naz Williams. So it is currently, I want to say it's 18 days away, or somewhere around there, 2nd of December. That is a good run from Pilomaliko. His first touch in this contest. Namibia is in South Africa, says Mohadin. And I want chaos, that's why, says Haino. And also we have got their, whereabouts did that one go? I need this first half total over 28.5 points. Okay. It'll be interesting because I think that both of these sides may start a little bit slow. But it depends on whether or not Samoa find the rhythm from the get-go, or whether they do wait till that second half. Female one, of course, says Naz Williams. Now Namibia to feed this ball in. It's going to be Kisting, and that one's moved too much to be able to put the ball in for the Namibians. We are going to have another scrum reset already 2 minutes down. I watched South Africa versus Namibia World Cup game at North Harbour Stadium for the 2011 World Cup. Was a sellout. CSI there. Yeah, it still feels weird knowing that either Namibia or Samoa are missing out on the Rugby World Cup in 2027. And the worst thing is, whoever doesn't make it through, their rugby union's really going to struggle. For Samoa, we've already seen them in the Rugby Sevens. They have been demoted down to Division 3 in that contest. You've got their Rugby League. Their Rugby League's going well, but outside of that, Rugby Union in Samoa has been struggling for a little while. And then you've got Namibia, a side that have become a little bit of a staple in a Rugby World Cup, is now potentially going to be missing, but that is a big boot downfield from Rizzo. Jacob Umaga playing 15 in this game for the Samoans, does kick it back down towards Namibia's 22. What happens if Samoa lose this week? And next week, then they would lose, and they would miss out, and then more than likely Belgium would make their way through to the next stage. I found out the other day South Africa has Rugby League. They do. It is unsupported by Rugby or Sporting South Africa, though, or something along those lines. I think Rugby Union don't choose to recognise it as an actual type of rugby. So they kind of had to fund their own trip to go over to play the Cook Islands, and eventually, sadly, did miss out on that final qualification spot in the Rugby League World Cup. Now, the draw for that's being announced in 3 days' time, so I'm keeping a close eye on that as well. We have their Samoa need to dig themselves out of the hole they got themselves into. They shouldn't be in this situation in the first place. That is true. Nice break of the line for Lalomelo. He's got the men on the inside. Quick hands. Jonathan Tamatine Does manage to score it though. 4 minutes into the contest, just a bit of draw and pass from the Samoans. And that is the start to this match that they would have been after. Well, I think we've seen already throughout the last few weeks that it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. They got to make sure they keep that foot on the accelerator, and that was a great breaking run from Lalomilo. And then from there, the quick hands from Tamua Manu, putting it on the right-hand side. When is the draw of the World Cup? So the draw for the Rugby Union World Cup is the 3rd of December. The draw for the Rugby League World Cup is the 17th of November, so just a few days away from that one. Hi, go Namibia, says Johan Hussen there. Yeah, that's greatly appreciated, you guys all popping in for this one. Plenty coming up this weekend as well. I need the conversion. It's a relatively easy one, Brioche, so you should be all right. Although Jacob Umang has taken his time. He's got 6 seconds remaining on the shot clock here. Does strike it, though, and gets it over, so that it's going to make the score now 7-0 in favour of the Samoans. Great drive from Tamatena, a player that they were really missing throughout that Pacific Nations Cup competition. It's just nice, quick hands there. I should mention Samoa have actually had more than just the Pacific Nations Cup, because they had that game up against the USA that they also could have qualified for the World Cup. 4 beautiful take in the air from Theo McFarlane, 40 metres out from the line for the Manu Samoans. And nice says Nuz in there as well. And now good defence from Kutsia in the number 3 jersey for the Namibians. Yeah, in Chile. Says Brioche there, and doing the draw years before the actual tournament is silly. Says Justin, it is, but it's not as bad as it was in 2023. They actually did that draw in about 2021, didn't they, for that competition? So we had over 2 years, or about the 2 years, before actually getting to see it. At least this one, they're going to be doing it a little bit closer, but yeah, it is still very early. December babies collect birthday tax at school. Never pay a cent, says Katzenel, and a bit behind. Let me sync up, says Hano. So at the moment for myself, we are 6 minutes, 10 seconds in to the match. I need it for ticket sales, says Brioche there, and also Go Namibia, we can do it, says Zane. Yeah, if there is ever a time for Namibia to really be able to find their rhythm, it has to be this game. If they do lose this match, they cannot qualify for the 2027 Rugby World Cup, which is a shame because, you know, like I mentioned, they are a side that was seen in that comp for quite some time, but I do think it's the fact that Zimbabwe were able to qualify that kind of threw the big spanner in the works for the Namibian rugby side. And I hear you joining the Springboks, Hamish, says Mohadin. And there is, yep, we are going to be covering that one on the channel. And then alongside that, we've got New Zealand, England straight after. I don't think I'm going to end up covering Wales versus Japan just because of when it starts compared to a few of the other matches. We're probably going to be doing our post-match reviews during that match so that we're all ready to go for the 9 o'clock kickoff games as well. Now, backline movement here for Namibia. A little cross kick attempted, but it goes into touch. Just a bit too much on it from Lubsa. And Fiji, France, says Brioche. We are going to be covering that one alongside Ireland, Australia, I believe anyway. I think I've got someone who said that they will be willing to do the commentary on the other match for me. I think I remember the 2015 World Cup draw was done in 2012 when Wales were in a dip and Samoa was 7th. Made for a nuts pool of death between Aussies, Wales and England, says Dexter. Yeah, with the fact that some of those great sides are just outside of the top 6 at the moment, I feel like there may not be a pool of death, but there's certainly going to be some more challenging pools throughout that World Cup draw. Now attacking run from, it would have been Patelo Mapu. And now an advantage in favour of the Samoans. Again, we are 8 minutes through this contest. Jonathan Tamatine feeding it away to the right-hand side. Good quick hands from Samoa again. Jacob Umaga. One more pass on the outside, looking for the corner. Brilliant finish from Latrell Alcoing. And they will, or Arkeong, I should say. And that is going to be now 12-0 in favour of the Samoans. We have got there, when you have Vic and I assume that's Wern on a program game, it's very tricky in terms of with the schedule when South Africa are playing their matches. Like the fact that they're playing first here, it doesn't really work out because it means that straight away after that game I have to transfer over to the next stream. In fact, I don't even think I'll get time to do a post-match review of that South Africa versus Italy matchup without going straight into that England versus All Blacks match. But we have been having them on during the week for those lineup predictions. Now ready to kick this one near the sideline for Jacob Umaga. And that one's going to go over. I bet my savings on this game, not going to lie. Well, be sure to at least try and gamble responsibly next time. Like, you may end up winning in this scenario, but I definitely would not recommend doing it just because of the fact that, last week we saw a side that was supposed to win in Namibia. They were considered as slight favourites up against Belgium. They did get beaten by quite a margin. However, they don't want to jinx it, says Brioche. And also, I do like how the World Cup will be drawn purely on seeds as opposed to Europe 1, Africa 2. There says Dexter. Oh, another big run from Summer Malolo. Yeah, see, I'm still a little bit confused at how the draw works in terms of who goes where. I think there's a bit of randomness that goes on later on in the draw in terms of the lower ranked sides. But, as soon as we get that draw announced, you can start really getting excited for that next World Cup when the matches are taking place and all sorts. Did the kick go over? It did, so 14-0 at the moment for the Samoans. Now this one's going to be kicked downfield into the 22. Nicely taken for Devan Rousseau. It's a decent-sized kick as well. He's pretty much gone 22-22. Will be an exciting draw to watch, especially if Samoa make it through, says Dexter. Samoa want to kill Namibia in this match, says Zane. Yeah, well, they've just got some really physical ball runners. Oh, leaving that one, Jacob Umaga. Thought it was going to roll on a little bit, but it does pull up. Now kicks that ball into touch. Territory battle there, you'd have to say, was probably won by Namibia. So they will find themselves sitting maybe about 25 metres out from the Samoan line. Only 14-0 in favour of Samoa. I would say 35 points would win them this game. Anything less than that, I just wouldn't trust that Namibia aren't going to find a way to at least get competitive in this match. A great line-out steal from Theo McFarlane, the captain. Making a great decision there, going off to the left-hand side now. Lalomilo passed on the outside to Va'a. Apilo Maliko kicks it in behind. Now covering at the back. Bit of a handling error there for Kisting, and it is ruled as a knock-on. Will be Samoa, who have got themselves a scrum feed 22 metres out from the line. Come on, Samoa. I hate that Namibia will be not in this World Cup. Samoa has to be, says Patrick. Yeah, it's a pretty brutal one, isn't it? And I know that a lot of people who were probably going for Namibia, if Samoa were to win this game, they'll probably end up going for Samoa next week up against the Belgium side, just because a World Cup without Samoa or Namibia would feel really strange. But the thing is, with how Belgium have been playing, they are 2 wins from 2. So they could make that a reality. Hi, Hamish. Hope you're well. Says Daryl. Hope you're doing well too. Only scrum feed for the Samoans after a very handy start for the Samoan team. Got a dangerous backline. It looks like they are set to use that midfield. Some sort of set play. Although they also have Patelo Mapu. Can just throw at the opposition line without too many troubles whatsoever. Jonathan Tamatine. Oh, they do go short side. Now looping around. Rodney Ona. Tackled low. Now big shot coming in on Taleni Su. Getting chopped down. Now Tamatine. Back across to the right-hand side to Manu with the no-look pass to Alamana Matunga. Belgium will earn it if they beat Samoa next week, says Patrick. Yeah, the fact that they were able to beat Namibia from the get-go, I think, made a lot of people realise how dangerous they can be. Like, they had a red card in that game up against Brazil and managed to beat them narrowly in that contest. So it makes it very hard to know whereabouts they sit up against a side like Samoa, whether or not they will actually struggle as well, or whether they will be able to stay competitive. Now, Va'a Pilomaliko getting wrestled towards the sideline. It was a good tackle made by Lusan. That one's going to be knocked on by Samoa. Grub it downfield from Namibia. It almost turned into a 50-22 by the time it went out, but about maybe 35 metres out from Samoa's line. They have now got their own throw here, Samoa. Are you into soccer, planning any World Cup streams next year? Not really. I'll be honest, normally the schedules don't really allow for it to happen. I've been considering some cricket for next week. In terms of the Ashes, it is coming up, and we did cover the 2023 Ashes on the channel, but I do think that we've because we haven't covered much cricket, we don't have much of a cricket audience anymore. I don't believe so. It may just be myself sitting here talking about cricket for a few hours, which isn't any different to what it would be outside of a live stream. Nicely taken by Theo McFarland. And line out time now. Breaking off the back here is Miracle Whailangi. He's definitely one to keep an eye out for. And there's Samoan gets Sama Malolo. Offloading it back and now going for the kick behind from Jonathan Tamatina. It's close to a 50-22, but it is curling back inwards and another knock on from Kisting. That is 2 now in quick succession for the Namibian 9. Do you make much coin from this, bro? Is it mainly for the love of the game for you? It is mainly or pretty much completely for the love of doing them. I still have to work a full-time job alongside it, but it does come more as a hobby. With some pretty brutal hours on the weekends, but wouldn't change it for one thing. I think it's been a lot of fun. We covered the last World Cup on the channel. We've been going for about 2,000 rugby live matches. But still, hopefully plenty more. We're going to be covering a lot throughout the build-up to the next Rugby World Cup, including hopefully a few more games of Namibia as well as the Samoans. It's quite hard to catch a Namibia game here in New Zealand, other than Rugby Pass TV occasionally will show a match. Jonathan Tamatine ready to feed this ball in, sitting 5 metres out from the line. So again, a very good attacking position for Samoa to use this one. And breaking off the back, Patelo Mapu. It takes 4 Namibians to drag him to ground. Now Theo McFarland. We're still down just short in the tackle by his opposite number. In this case, I believe it would be Retief in that 5 jersey. Well, Rugby writes the draw. Will be 4 pots of 6 teams, going purely by ranking on December 3rd. Aussies will be in Pool A no matter. In pot 1 or 2 because of their hosting. Yeah, so they are guaranteed for Pool A at this point in time. It's just that question of whether they'll be Tier 1 or Tier 2 in terms of the groupings. And I think they'll be in the second group at the moment, by the looks of it, but that is a brilliant steal just out from the line. I want to say it was Louis van der Vesterhuizen who managed to win it, the skipper for Namibia, knowing how crucial of a moment that could have been had Samoa been able to break through and score themselves a try. Now Namibia able to kick this one down from inside of their 22 towards the halfway line. Okay, didn't strike that at all well. It actually bounced into touch for Namibia there. Van der Vesterhuizen getting in there and winning it. Now he has the opportunity to throw this ball in for his Namibian side. That one's nicely taken by the Namibians. Now looking to get this one rolling forward. At the moment it is pretty stagnant, although now starts to get 1 or 2 steps in the right direction. Where's that ball gone? It is at the back now. Kisting has been told to use it. He's had a couple handling errors already. It is actually still moving for Namibia, and now they've got themselves the penalty advantage for the rolling maul as it still marches towards the halfway line. Right, it's finally been dragged down. Brazil eliminated. It does seem that way, unfortunately, for the Brazilians because they have had 2 losses from 2, although they were very close to getting the win up against Belgium, and had they been able to do so, would have made it very intriguing to see what that would have done to the table for next week. I mean, you can do all of this next to a full-time gig. Hopefully Sky Sports pick you up one day. So here's Dexter. Yeah, it's not too bad outside of international rugby. International rugby-wise, it's very hard to juggle the two. But we're already halfway through November. It is crazy to think that this year is almost coming to a close. It's about less than 6 weeks till Christmas, which is just crazy. I rate Miracle Whailangi. He is talented. Says AJS, or AJS, I should say. Yeah, he was tearing it up throughout the Bunnings NPC, back in a Samoan kit. And honestly, he could be a long stayer in their team if he does continue his current form. Now won this ball, Namibia. It's going to be the run forward from, I believe that would have been Dazel in that number 12 jersey. And there's a knock on, though, from the Namibians. Now Tamua Manu kicking it downfield, looking for the 50-22. And it's not going to be a mile away, although that ball does sit up. Now nicely taken by Now, who just pretty much throws that ball into touch. Samoa, they decided to take it quickly. Namibia steal the ball, and they will now kick it in mind, looking for a 50-22 of their own. Both sides trying to push the pace. That was a knock-on from Rodney Ona, and Namibia now get themselves an attack inside of Samoa's 22. They are not out of this game as of yet, man. Samoa looks so good in parts, and some basic errors. They always have those knock-ons, or at least they have had them recently. Hello, Hamish Watson. Says Byron there. Are you doing the Rugby World Cup? We certainly are. We'll be doing every match on the channel, just like 2023. Initially, for 2023's World Cup, it seemed like there was going to be one game that I was missing. I can't actually remember who was going to be playing in that game. It might have been Portugal versus Georgia or someone like that, but then I decided, nah, we're going to do it. But yeah, managed to cover every single match, which was quite cool. The fact that Brazil was comprehensively beaten by Paraguay makes you wonder what they would have done in this tournament. Says Patrick. Yeah, it's a shame that they just had that one ineligible player that took them out of the running. Namibia has been in the last 7 World Cups. But has never won a game. Crazy. Says Zach. So yeah, very good for qualifying for the World Cups, Namibia. And they're always an entertaining side to watch. No matter what happens in their contest, they just seem to bring that little bit of extra physicality. But now currently sitting with the ball in hand, Namibia. Not a mile away from Samoa's line, sitting about 12 metres out. Low pass into the hands of Louis van der Vestes and does very well to hang on to it. Oh, bit of a juggle there, but still managing to hang on just about. Kisting hits it backwards. Hello there, Hamish. Seems like we'll have a Samoa-Belgium decider for a World Cup spot. It does look that way, although at the moment Namibia started to find that little bit of momentum. But yeah, it looked like it was going to be the fact that had Brazil been able to hold on a little bit longer, it would have been almost a guarantee for Samoa to go through. But now it does look like it's going to be 2 wins from 2 for both Samoa and Brazil. That's a great steal in the breakdown for Jonathan Tamatine. Which of the games are you looking forward to most this weekend? I mean, England, New Zealand should be, I think it's going to be the match of the weekend in terms of the one that everyone looks at and is excited about. I'm also intrigued about Australia versus Ireland. I do think that that's the type of game at the moment. It would be nice to see where both of those sides sit skill-wise. And also, to be honest, Scotland-Argentina is another game that I think could be a little bit of an underrated gem of the weekend, taking place the day after most of the big matches. Kicked into touch by the Samoans, and now line-out throw around the halfway line. Namibia many years back was part of the Curry Cup, says Daryl. I did not know that. I wonder if they'd ever consider doing some sort of thing like that, because outside of international rugby, I know that we did see Milan playing his rugby in New Zealand for the Bunnings NPC. That's actually the Namibian player who snapped his leg in half that last Rugby World Cup. But yeah, whereabouts would most of these Namibian players actually play their rugby? Do let me know. I think a few of them are scattered throughout the kind of Curry Cup and also the URC sides. Now Theo McFarlane passes back across the Va'apilo Maleko. Looks for the offload, but throws it into touch. Faialangi frustrated. That's Ariviga. Says Brioche there. Is Miracle carving up. He wanted the ball there, but just didn't quite get it from Va'apilo Maleko. But he's had one solid run so far, Miracle Faialangi. We've seen some incredible running from Patelo Mapu in that loose forward trio as well. Check the look on Miracle Faialangi's face when it goes out. He was not happy with that offload from Va'apilo Maleko. And along in South Africa, I think, says Daryl. Yeah, there'll be a few of these boys play for the, I think they play for the Cheetahs, don't they? A few of them in there. As well as, who's the other team that they've got at the moment in the Challenge Cup? There's another side, the Black Lions, I believe. Are any of the Namibians in that side? Eyes back in the Pacific teams. Says Katurv there. Now that ball, it's looking like it's trapped on the ground. And it doesn't come out, so it does mean that Samoa will get themselves the scrum feed there. I'm trying to get that maul going again, Namibia, like they did just before, but it didn't come out that way. And the Pumas, says Emil there. This one 40 metres out. This is where you could go with that Patelo Mapu run off the back of the scrum again, or perhaps going into that back line. We did see Lalomelo initially breaking the line. Looks like a bit of an injury here for Wala. We'll stay down. Where is he in this breakdown? I think he just ends up underneath everyone. No, he actually stays on his feet there, so I'm not actually too sure what hurt his back in that scenario for Wala. I've got there the Samoan flags from Madeline in there as well. I'm going to have to check out. Always good to catch your stream, Muso. Happy watching, everyone. Take care. See you, Dexter. And yeah, it's greatly appreciated you popping in. Got plenty more random hour of the night live streams coming up, alongside hopefully a few almost normal hour games in the relatively near future. That's more so December, I would say, when those ones are starting up. Now the scrum just getting set. Like I mentioned, there isn't a huge amount of people in the stands for this contest, although I think they are more so on this near side of the field rather than the far side. 8 a.m. here in Oakland in Canada. Or sorry, in California, I should say. Sears trained with Jay. Yeah, that's not too bad of a start time. For us here in New Zealand, we're currently sitting at 5 a.m., which is a little bit of a brutal one. I really mismanaged my time. I ended up sleeping at around 3:30 to then, although, sorry, not 3:30. Ended up sleeping at around 3 to then wake up at 4. But now Jacob Umanga breaking through, going on the outside. Avaa Pilo Maliko shows his pace, and this time decides against the offloading charge. Jonathan Tamatine. That's a massive run forward from Mapu. Now pick and go to the short side. They will score it. And it is Va'a Apilo Maliko who does manage to score. He has scored many tries at the stadium. In fact, probably more tries than anyone in this contest due to that sevens background. Are you working today? I certainly am, yes. Early but doable. Says Daryl in there as well. 15 minutes remaining in this first half, and Samoa have got themselves another one. I mentioned how they probably would need 35 points to be able to feel safe in this contest, and they are getting a long way towards it now. I just called off work to watch this match. Up the Manu. My job can kiss my ass, says Train there. Well, hopefully they aren't also watching the stream. I know that some people watch their streams from work, so... Oh. Oh, okay, they're actually saying that this one's probably going to be disallowed by the sounds of it because of a high clean-out from Alamunda Matunga of the Samoans. Sounds like it could be just a penalty only. Yeah, it's not good for Namibia. Says Hano. Right, we're seeing the build-up now. They're looking at Alamunda Matunga. Okay, that one froze there, so they weren't able to watch it quite smoothly. I need this conversion. No. Says Brioche there. Okay, it's not awful from Alamunda Matunga. It's probably going to just be a penalty. But it is shouldered ahead in the breakdown. He was ready to clean out now. To be fair, they might look at this as a yellow. Okay, I think they're saying because both men are very low, it may just stay as the penalty, or it could be a yellow card. I don't see this as a red at least. But the decision about to be made for this contest. I mean that Samoa are playing with less men on the field. Either way, their try is going to be disallowed here. Okay, so the referee, he's actually just said he doesn't see any foul play. Oh, okay. So it's going to stay as on-field decision of try. Now, across the board of rugby, we have seen quite a few times where that try would have been ruled out due to that clean-out. But in this case, Samoa's does stand. I've done some quick research. The starting 15 for the Namibians playing South Africa, Namibia, Romania, Russia, France, and the USA. Hopefully, I haven't missed any. Geez, you've been speedy there, Seb, if you've gone through and looked at each individual player. But, yeah, so a bit of a real mix, I guess you could say, in terms of where these guys do play. And good man, go with a try, because Declan was off his feet, I think. One of the commentators is whispering. I think he just said that he would have given that as a penalty. But, yeah, because of the fact that the Namibian player was on his knees. But then I guess it's a bit different to the Lutiacha one, isn't it? Although that was the case where Ramos was down on his knees in that scenario as well. But oh. Okay, commentator's really not happy with that call. They're saying that it should have been a penalty in that scenario. But Samoa, they are sitting 19-0. They have missed that kick. So it does keep that score at the 19. The commentator from Namibia, he's got a Scottish accent, I want to say, or a Welsh accent, something like that. Oh, another knock on from the Samoans there. So the ball will be available for Namibia. Fighting for it back is fun to murder. Thanks, Sebastian, and good call there, says Nars Williams. And no worries, says Seb. And there's one now passing it off to the left-hand side. That is another drop ball. Theo McFarlane grubbering it forward, and same now from Samoa's 14. That one just about touched the line. Yes, it did. It was inside of the 50. This might be a 50-22. On-field decisions should stand. Misconversion, no. And also it's hard to ball man. Drop, says Nars Williams. There's been a lot of drop balls throughout this match. Namibia are the same, though. So I want to say maybe conditions could be the factor, but it's a good kick downfield from Coing. And it is a 50-22, so now Samoa have got themselves this line-out throw. Okay, they are joining in now. Samoa Malolo getting ready to throw this ball in. Oh, it's going to be overthrown. Nicely taken by the Namibians. I like how the TMO tried to tell the ref it should be a penalty only, and the ref made his own choice. Says the AI underdog pick. It's something that a lot of referees are too, I don't know if afraid's the right word, but most referees wouldn't do that, would they? And maybe that is the fact that this fellow, I believe it's the Argentinian guy who worked throughout the Pacific Nations Cup. But, yeah, it's something you don't see enough as a referee going, actually, you've shown me the angles, but I still trust my own judgment. And, like, sometimes it is the right decision for a referee to just go, look, just let me do what I'm paid to do. And up to the halfway line now, passing on the outside, Jonathan Tamatine trying to get that bump off. Another drop ball from Samoa. She's a trend at the moment, which is have about 2 phases and then drop the ball straight after in the hands of Jacob Umanga. Oh, and they will go back for a penalty in favour of Samoa. Ref sees things at real time. It is a contact sport after all. Says Daryl. And can we look? Says Annie, it is available on Rugby Pass TV, depending on where you are in the world. I believe the only location you can't watch it on Rugby Pass is actually here in New Zealand. So every other location should have it on Rugby Pass TV, available for this contest. So that is going to be in front of the kicker, offside penalty against the Namibians. Go Namibia, go boys, says Ronald there. I'm just going to have a quick look and see what the score line was for Belgium versus Brazil, because I do know that Belgium started that match very well. I want to know how much they were leading by. So far, meters made, we've seen 500 almost made by Samoa compared to the 98 meters made from their opposition, Namibia. Okay, sadly, it doesn't have the timeline on the app that I have. Oh, nice little set play there. Samoa Malolo goes to the short side, off to Jonathan Tamatine. Bit of pressure in the breakdown. Namibia managing to get the steal. Oh, a little bit of after there. Van der Vesterhuizen not happy. Right, halftime it was 14 points to 7 between Belgium and Namibia. A little bit of swearing going on as well, I've just heard. I had Belgium -8 at halftime. They were 14-7. We'll see. Had a bit of a rough run there. The thing is, there's 10 minutes remaining in this first half, and you still need another 9 points or so. So you may have another very close scenario here. I think the penalty is still going to be awarded to Namibia, but a bit of a talk there from the referee to both skippers. Van der Vesterhuizen He's fired up here for the Namibians. He knows that they are currently down by quite a few points. They need a big moment to be able to change momentum of this game. Some brilliant offloading, though, coming from Samoa. It's weird. And I feel like every Samoan supporter has felt this emotion at the moment. The fact that Samoa at times can offload the ball so beautifully and have some really tough catches that they take. And then it's the simple passing that they knock on the ball with, for some reason, something clicks when they are almost not thinking about the passing. Whereas as soon as it's an over-structured play, that's when Samoa seem to struggle. That ball's going to be at the back. Kisting kicks it high. One's going to be knocked on by Samoa and then knocked on by Namibia. So the double knock-on leads to Namibia's scrum feed. Just as I was praising both sides for the occasional handling moment, I guess. But just the 9 minutes remaining. For the first half here, Samoa, if they were able to get themselves a bonus point win, they would sit with one more point than Belgium, but that wouldn't really play a factor unless, of course, the two sides had a draw, in which case Samoa would go through. That is for next week's game up against the Belgians. I'm cooked. Says Brioche there. You're going to need one or two quick-fire tries, or maybe for a side to take a three. We haven't really seen too many opportunities to take three so far with where the penalties have been awarded, but Samoa might take a three. You know, if they've scored themselves another try and they're sitting 26-0 and they've got, let's say, 30 seconds remaining in the half, they might go for 3 points. We're now going off the back. Kisting, another knock on. This time going forward from the Namibians. This one's hurting them a little bit. Every time they almost get an attack going, the ball has been dropped, and it's got to be frustrating for a side that I don't think I've seen Namibia play this disgruntled in a very long time. We did watch them throughout that Rugby World Cup, and even in their games that they were being defeated, they still had moments where they did look relatively decent. And this match at the moment is just not quite gelling for the big Namibian pack. Now scrum feed for Samoa. I think we're going to see a lot of scrums throughout this second half, just as a bit of an early prediction. Some great players to make their way off the bench. We were talking about the sevens earlier on with Pilo Maliko, but they have got Tuna Tuitama to make his way off of the bench, as well as the experienced veteran Michael Alalatoa for Namibians. Decent players off that bench too. Oh, okay, they were asking for a penalty there, Samoa, but they won't get it. They'll get a scrum reset instead. Well, when did Samoa become this good? Says Katsanel. Well, I think compared to what we saw in the Pacific Nations Cup, it comes down to the fact that they have got players available for this competition. You look through at the side, you know, someone like honestly, you could list most of the side. Miracle Failangi, for instance, Jonathan Tamatine. Those guys were playing in the NPC, which meant that they weren't available for the Samoans in their last internationals. I do also think that Namibia haven't quite come up to the level that people would have expected for them in this tournament. And, you know, I think they will beat Brazil. But then saying that, Brazil, they were competitive up against Belgium, although Belgium had that rare card, so it's a hard one to judge in that regard. Now, the big push there at scrum time, Samoa do get themselves the penalty. That is 40 metres out from their own line. Oh, okay, once again, we see there Walla a little bit slow, getting back up to his feet. There's going to be a penalty against, I believe it was Kutsia, for not pushing straight. Always been a good team, just don't have the funding. Says Daryl there. Yeah, and you know, for them to make it to the World Cup, I think is almost crucial for their rugby union. Don't get me wrong, Namibia need this as well, but with where Samoa have been over the last couple of years, in terms of the lack of matches that they've been able to play, the struggles to get players to stay playing international rugby, and also across the sevens as well, seeing that big decline going down to Division 3. Like, they really did need this World Cup. And now they have to try and beat Belgium, as well as, of course, the rest of this game up against Namibia. They can't count the chickens before they hatch. But they're going definitely in the right direction for this contest. Not straight through from Samoa. And it means that Namibia are going to have themselves another scrum opportunity, or they may just go with a kick downfield. Although I think it is going to be the scrum by the looks of this. Brazil are simply too incompetent to qualify, says Katzenel. Yeah, although they did really well in the game up against Belgium. I was expecting that game to be a similar scoreline as what we saw between Samoa and Brazil, but they actually kept it extremely competitive. Went down to the wire, and if it wasn't for that last-minute try from the Belgians, they would have gone on to win that game. Just the 4.5 minutes now remaining in this first half. It's going relatively quickly at the moment. I think that is because of the repetitive scrum resets that we are seeing. I want to say we've had about 10 minutes of rugby where 8 minutes of that has been scrums in just the last little while. Yes, can't get the players to stay as New Zealand poached them at the under-20s. So here's Daryl there. And also just the fact that NPC rugby, for some of those guys, you know, they get paid better to play NPC than they do to play international rugby, which is a massive shame. You know, you look at someone like a Miracle Whailangi. He said straight up, he said, look, it's better for me to play in the NPC than play a few games here and there for Samoa. Now, of course, he is in the Samoan side now, as they do really need as many players as they can have available for this one. Now getting driven backwards, Namibia. Right, Samoa Malolo almost got himself in some trouble there. He got cleaned out by Luddick, was not happy about it and tried to go for a flying shoulder charge into the breakdown right in front of the referee. Now off to the left-hand side. Rodney Ona past one more out to Lalomelo. Another offload, and it's another knock-on, a double knock-on, I believe. I think it actually came off Samoa first, but referee did not see it initially. Okay, they are going to be checking this one in the breakdown for Samoa Malolo, but Luddick is not happy about it. And pretty much what happened is he ended up cleaning out Samoa Malolo. He was not happy about it at all, Malolo, and decided to try and go for a bit of a swinging arm shoulder thing in the breakdown. If Samoa had the NPC guys, they would have easily beaten the USA and not have had to play this qualifier set as an American. Yeah, they could have made it a lot easier for themselves, Samoa. Now, of course, if they still win from this one, as well as that game up against Belgium, in some regards, it's more beneficial that they've had to go the long route because they've been able to play more matches than they actually would have if they had qualified earlier. They were actually only going to get one game throughout November, and that was up against the Italians. That game has now been taken, I believe it's next week, and it's going to be Chile up against Italy. How many tries have Samoa scored? They have scored the 3 so far in this contest. We've seen Va'a Pilo Maliko score. We've also seen Jonathan Tamatine, and then also Koing out on that wing was able to score as well. And also just joined Hamish. A running nose is gone, I noticed. Well done for getting through your marathon on Saturday, says JB. Yeah, she was a bit of a brutal weekend, that one. I am still a little bit, I'd say like 20% sick at the moment, but the good news is, like, my nose isn't running. It's just a little bit of a sore throat still and a bit of a blocked nose, but we should be hopefully good to go by the weekend. But yeah, doing a lot better now. That was a bit of a haul, a bit of a long one over the weekend, but we got through it. We didn't have any matches that I didn't cover on the channel, so that was great. We managed to do the Rugby League on the Sunday as well, alongside Argentina versus Wales. Now ball's going to be fed in by Samoa. Oh, big slap on the ass from Jonathan Tamatena, but they will have another scrum reset. Been many resets throughout this one as well. Like I mentioned, the last 15 minutes, we've seen 10 minutes of scrums. So if you do love scrums, this has been a brilliant match. If you don't like scrums, this probably isn't the match that people want to see as of yet. And now 90 seconds left in this first half. It's actually gone quite quick. And I do think that is because of the stop-start nature, no sneezing. No, it was not so red. Says Daryl there. Yeah, there was a lot of sneezing throughout last weekend. Samoa just killed me. Says Brioche in there. Yeah, I just don't see them scoring the... You needed another 9 points, didn't you? Or in fact, it was another 10 points, I think. And yeah, at the moment, there's just a 1 minute remaining. They may score another try to put you very close. Now, ready to feed this ball in. I'm being told to use it there for Jonathan Tamatine. They'll go away to the left-hand side. Tamatine cutting back inwards, trying to step through, and he's done very nicely there. looking for another offload, goes into the hands of Tamua Manu. Now wide ball onto the right-hand side. Keong, oh, that's a big collision between him and Johan Dazel. Now Sama Malolo, two-man tackle on him by the Namibians, including his opposite number, Louis van der Vesterhuizen. Cross kick attempted there. Oh, not quite getting that one cleanly for the Namibians. Ball goes into the hands of Pilo Maleko. I think his knee was in touch. And keeping the best for this weekend. Says Daryl in there as well. They are going to be checking this one with just the 9 seconds remaining in the first half. It is very close to a try, but I do think the touchline, yep, Touchy has got the flag up. There's going to be now the halftime siren sounding, so Namibia will have themselves the line out. Wales versus Argentina seem to go quick, even though I'm a Wales fan, says JB. It'd be interesting to see how they go in this game this weekend up against Japan. For the Welsh, yeah, foot was on the line before he tried the dive there. Apelo Maleko knee also went into touch. The referee saw it very early that he was out. Now ready to throw it in for Van der Vesterhuizen. Looks like he's going to be going to the front. Nicely taken by Namibia. They will kick this one into touch, and that is going to make the score at halftime 19-0 in favour of the Samoans. They'll be happy enough with how it sits at the moment. You could argue that they've had a couple more opportunities where they perhaps should have got themselves a try or two. Namibia, they had that one very good attacking chance inside of Samoa's half, but only having around the 100 metres made throughout the first 40 minutes of rugby, whereas Samoa, they are close to that 500 mark. So that's kind of been the big difference between the two sides. Rests on top of things. Says Gerald there makes a change. Yeah, see, I think that this referee, he was decent throughout the Pacific Nations Cup. There were a couple times where he actually needed a bit of feedback from his touch judges, which, like, it was quite an interesting one to watch because he'd make a decision in certain regards and then one of the more experienced touch judges would say that wasn't bad, but we'll just, maybe look at this, and they would. But, yeah, he does seem to be coming a long way and perhaps could find himself in a rugby championship in the future. Argentina haven't really got that referee representation at this point in time, so it would be absolutely fantastic to see them have it. This has been a brutal half, says Katzenell. Yeah, I have no idea what the stat is when it comes to scrums, but there's been at least 10, or at least it feels that way. I'm going to have a quick look, see what we can find out. In this one, we'll go here. Oh, Rugby Pass don't actually have this game as a one that you can see information about. I'll see if I can find it on another one. See what we can learn. I see that Australia have announced their lineup and also Ireland have announced their side for the upcoming clash taking place this weekend. Right, we got stats for Samoa and Namibia. It is loading. No, it only does tries and conversions. I'll be very curious to know what the number is, though. We have got there, what's his name, says Daryl, for the referee. His last name's Schneider, I believe. I'll get a quick look and see whether or not it might be JD Schneider. Something like that. I'm just going to go right back to the start of the coverage and see if I can find the name after the national anthems. Where are we? They do normally show referee's name. There we go. Damien Schneider is his name. And yeah, represents Argentina. Argentine refs will be too chatty, guaranteed. Game is just fine with that. One Italian chap. And I'm off to eat. We'll catch up later. Rugby Pass says stats under the fixtures and results section, says the reviewer. Oh, is it just on the main page that they haven't got too much for this content? One moment. We'll go back in. Go fixtures and results. Yeah, no, you are right. There it is. So in there, 40 minutes in. Stats. Where's our scrums? Set piece. That's what we're after at the moment. Set plays. Scrums. We actually had, I said 10 scrums. I was underestimating it. There were 13 scrums throughout that first half. Also 13 lineouts. So 26 times that there was either a lineout or a scrum. So it does make sense as to why that half flew by. Because if you consider the fact that I would say each scrum with the amount of resets that we had probably took around, let's say, a minute on average. We probably had only about 15 minutes of rugby played between these two sides in open play. We have got there, thanks Hamish, we'll keep his name. And yo, how are you, says Stormzy. And they're doing very well. And I really want Belgium to be in the World Cup. And they have got the opportunity. They will go head-to-head with Samoa on Wednesday next week. And that is going to be the early morning match for us here in New Zealand. What I'll quickly do is I'll go like that. There we go. So that is the game there. 4:30 a.m, same kickoff time as this one, but on Wednesday. And we are going to be covering that one on the channel, as that will be determining exactly who makes their way through to the next stage of the competition. And then that Rugby World Cup draw taking place only a couple weeks after that. So plenty still to come for one of these sides. And yeah, at the moment, very hard to tell where Belgium are compared to Samoa in terms of skill level. You know, we saw Namibia have a relatively rough showing, I would say, up against the Belgian side. We saw Brazil and Belgium go very close down to the wire, although that was also, I think, a little bit down to the fact that Belgium did have themselves the card near the end of the game. Yeah, second half just around the corner in this one. Hopefully we have less scrums, less lineouts. Although I do think that it's probably helping both sides in terms of the tempo of the game. They're not having to fully empty that gas tank because they can kind of take that foot off the gas a bit and enjoy a bit of a spell for the big forwards. What I will quickly do, we have got the benches there down the bottom, but we will also go like that. There we go. So for the Samoans, they have got Sana Revi, also Michael Alatoa. Great option off the bench, a lot of experience under that man's belt. For the Samoans, Ben Nini, as well as in the back replacements, they have got Tuna Tuitama. Will certainly be one to keep an eye on with the amount of pace and power that man offers, very similar to Va'a Pilomaliko in that regard off the bench for Namibia. Combrink is that number 16 options. Conradi is there at 20. I want to say that his name rings a bell in terms of one of the competitions, whether it's the Carling Curry Cup. In fact, that's what we're going to look up. Where does Wien Conradi play? I want to say that where is he at the moment? It says that he's actually playing for New England Free Jacks at this point in time. Previously played for Gloucester. Maybe that's where I've seen that name. But they're showing the highlights of the tries that we saw throughout the first half for the Samoans. They were able to score themselves the 3. Va'a Pilomaliko got 1. We also saw Jonathan Tamatene score another one. And then also Keong was able to score out on the right wing side. What camera are you shooting with now? Which dream rig will you buy if your wallet had no chill? Yeah, well, this wallet certainly does have a chill, so we've had the same camera for about 4 years. But it is a Logitech C922, I think it's called, or something like that. There was a stage where I had a fancier camera, but it almost was too fancy in regards of, like, it was a webcam, but the angle was too wide for my green screen. It's only a relatively thin one. Like, the green screen ends here where my hand is, and then it ends here where my hand is as well. So it doesn't give me a lot of leeway on either side. So it meant that a wide angle camera actually didn't benefit me that much. And by the way, as a rugby union fan, why is the Rugby League World Cup so small, only 10 teams? So it didn't used to be 10 teams. It was actually a lot more. But it seemed to be that they felt like it wasn't competitive enough. Like, I would love to see the smaller sides play and earn themselves a spot through as like a wild card team for the later stages, because like World Cups are supposed to have one-sided matches. That's just a part of them. You see mismatches all the time, but just for sides to be at that World Cup is the one that really matters for a lot of sides. Amazing 15 minutes of ball and players not that much lower than the average, which is like 18, 22 minutes per half, says Justin. Yeah, the one good thing is, even when we've had scrum resets, the scrums have been relatively efficient. Now, I could be wrong with that number, but I know that during the time that they've been in play, we've seen Samoa have themselves, it was about 500 metres carried, but second half very close to starting up, just the 100 or so metres for the Namibians. But yeah, that Rugby League World Cup draw is actually being announced in 3 days' time. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. few Namibian supporters in the stands by the looks of it, hoping to see their side get back into this contest. There's just been an ad where an old lady's done a backflip. But she's done it very well. You got to give her a 10 out of 10 for the effort. But yeah, second half. Do let me know your end score predictions for this game, ladies and gentlemen. We have good there because for me, it isn't fair to see big teams playing against small teams in order to go to the World Cup. Examples, Cook Islands and South Africa, my country. Says Stormzy. So you're saying that South Africa, that's the thing though, South Africa actually held their own in that match, which was fantastic to see. I think the thing that hurts South African Rugby League is not so much who they have to play to qualify, but more so the fact that they aren't accepted in South Africa by the South African sports governing boards. They aren't considered as a form of rugby, so they don't get any sort of funding. The players actually had to earn their own way to play in the qualification tournament. I believe they had to pay for their flights through fundraising and everything like that. So, if they want South Africa to do well in rugby league, they just gotta back them, give them some funding, give them an opportunity. But it is because of the fact that they don't want people shying away from rugby union that they aren't willing to give league a crack. South Africa could be a great league side. You look at the big physical ball runners, the speed on the outside, and some of the tactical masterminds that they've had in the coaching boxes throughout the years, but it's just not the way that they go. Second half of this contest, I would say we're probably only about 3 minutes away from the half starting up, I would say. We've got some more car ads. We've had a few different ads. They haven't had many food ads at this point in time, which is kind of a good thing because it's currently 5:30 a.m. It's a bit of a nothing time. Maybe breakfast after the live stream. But before then, a bit tricky to do. No, we got another ad for a deck. At the moment, I understand what you mean. Quite impressive for South Africa, says Stormzy. Yeah, the fact that they were even in that position, I think was absolutely massive for them. And it would have been a great learning experience for those players. And I can tell you right now, if they had somehow made it to that World Cup, they would have given the South African public no option but to enjoy, a little bit of rugby league. Although I don't know what the availability is. I don't know if their games are even on SuperSport in South Africa. So that would have been another factor, how they probably wouldn't have even got the licensing to be able to watch it in South Africa had they qualified. So, yeah, a bit of a tricky one overall. But hopefully they continue to grow and we do get to see them in some sort of future Rugby World Cup qualifying matchup, and perhaps in that World Cup would be fantastic to see. But just the 10 teams does make it relatively tricky. When you've already got New Zealand, Tonga, Samoa, Australia, England, you've got Papua New Guinea, Fiji. It's about 7 or so of your teams already. I'm trying to think of who else they got in there. Cook Islands is the 8th team. I want to say that Scotland and whatnot missed out in terms of making it through. Probably another team or two that I just can't think of. Oh, also Lebanon are in there. That is one more, and then there's one other team who I can't think of off the top of my head. I would guess they're from Europe, though, if I had to. But both these sides making their way out of the tunnel now and ready to go for the second 40 minutes. If Namibia want to win this game, they have to make a 19-0 comeback to start with and then keep on adding the points on top of that. If Samoa were to win this game, they go into their next game up against the Belgians next week. And that one will be absolutely crucial as one of those two sides will make their way through to the next Rugby World Cup. Like they're saying, Namibia, they just need to find something in the second half. The biggest critique I'd have for them in the first half was just those handling errors. And some would actually say the same about the Samoans as well. I mentioned how we had a total of 13 scrums throughout the first 40 minutes. They're making their way out of the tunnel. just about rearing to go. They will make a couple relatively early switches, I would think, as well here, Samoa, if they feel they are in control, because you got to remember, you got that quick turnaround. What rugby league country do you think would be good at rugby union? The thing is, a lot of rugby league countries have had their crack at union. So, like, I'm trying to think of who's someone that is decent in league that isn't already handy enough in union. Like, Papua New Guinea's a tricky one to know whether or not they'll be any good at rugby union. Lebanon, I don't know whether or not they've actually got any rugby union side of things going at the moment. Australia, they're pretty handy at rugby union every once in a while, but you wouldn't think it at times. And now ready to kick this one off, Samoa. They will be going from right to left this time. Namibia, I'm sure they got a bit of a telling off in the changing sheds. Now Rodney Oyona just about ready to kick us off for another contest here. Samoa, if they get themselves the win, even if it is without a bonus point, it all comes down to that last match up against Belgium. First, they have to survive this 40 minutes. Perhaps get themselves that little bit more of a lead going too. And Canada Women's 15. So here's JB there. It's going to be nicely taken by the number 9. He has had a bit of a tough day when it comes to their handling throughout this match, Kisting. Now Namibia, going to be 25 metres out from the try line, their own that is. Rolling this one back again, Kisting will get ready to send it up high. Taleni Su trying to get that charge down towards the halfway line. Going up for it was Jacob Umang. He slapped it back, but it's gone into the hands of the Namibians with Johan Dazel. Now back across to the left-hand side. This may be exactly the start. That's a poor decision, I feel, from Namibia. Although it's a good kick, don't get me wrong, but they finally had some ball in hand. Decided instead to kick that one away. Now Samoa will have the pressure on their line-out, which they have been a little bit shaky with throughout the matchup, but just feel like Namibia should have gone for a little bit more of an attack there. They had numbers on the outside. Of course, this is when they get the line-out still and end up scoring, and I look like a complete idiot. They've thrown to the back, nicely taken for the Samoans, sitting about 6 metres out from their try line now. Jonathan Tamatine goes back into the pocket. And Rodney Ona does put that ball into touch. Looks like Namibia, they will now have themselves the line out about maybe 12, oh no, a bit more than that, probably 15 metres out from Samoa's line. This is when they have to strike right from the start of the second half. If they can find their rhythm, they are still well and truly in this game. We've seen Samoa have games leading before where they have let it slip. That ball was almost stolen by Samoa at line-out time, but then taken back by the Namibians. A big two-man tackle for Ludik. Now Van der Westhuizen decides to hang on to this ball. Retief next to him. Now Dazel. A straightening run, 22 metres out from the line at the moment for Namibia. This is the most phases we've actually seen them have all throughout this game. That is great news. You are a Namibian supporter, but they need to turn it into points. Getting over the ball now for Samoa, looking for the steal, couldn't get it, and they will be awarded the penalty, Namibia. Looks like they won't take this one quickly. Saying there about the collision off the ball, it looks like Walla again. Okay, they've just said there it's accidental contact on the tackler, so no foul play there on the Namibian front rower. This is where Namibia, they can't take the 3. They've got to go for 7 points here, I believe. Yes, 3 points would be nice, though. And in the long term, you probably argue that 3 points, if they can get themselves 3 more tries, they would actually be in a good position to lead. But I just think at this stage of the match, yeah, unfortunately, it is just the trailing from Theo McFarland. He did make the tackle, but Walla ended up with his leg underneath. Already some very heavy strapping on the Lucia props knee. Namibia, they actually thought about taking this one quickly, and I wonder whether or not it was because of that injury that they decided against it. Most meters made throughout this game. Va'a Pilomaleko, he has had 115. Tamatene's had 57. 56 for Rodney Ona. That's a decent day at the office for that man. Right, what are Namibia deciding here? That looked like for a second. Are they going 3 points here? Yes, they are. I don't think we saw Kisting agreeing with that decision. He was asking one of the medics, why are we doing that? And I think that the medic was kind of going like that as if to say, get that scoreboard ticking over. But I just don't know if this is the right choice for the Namibians in this scenario. Ahoy H says, Wampia Bosch, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Currently 42.5 minutes down in this contest. Samoa leading 19-0, but Namibia about to add 3 points to their tally for the day, or at least if he does get it over and just need to crack the scoreboard, I guess, says Justin. Yeah, the only problem that they'll have is they'll end up in the wrong part of the field off the kickoff. But they are lining up this kick. It should be straightforward enough, about 23 metres out from the line. Got the 50 seconds on the shot clock. See whether or not Clive and Lupsa can get his first kick over of the contest. This will be a decision, I believe, made by the coaches. It looked like Lupsa actually wanted to take it quickly initially. And now the crowd dead silent, waiting for this kick, and he does get it over, so that is going to give Samoa still that 16-point lead, but 19 points to 3. The score now between the two sides. Namibia have got themselves on the board with something here. They are still going to need 3 tries if they do want to go on to win this game. Still plenty of time though, another 36 minutes of the match. And Jacob Umanga kicking that one off high. And nicely taken on. A good driving tackle made by Samoa. I mentioned how Namibia would end up in the wrong part of the field now after the 3 points. Now rolling it back will be Kisting. Goes down to the halfway line. Nicely taken at the back by Rodney Ona. Currently sitting with the third most metres out of any Samoan player, or out of any player in this whole match. Now Samoa Malolo with his carry going off to the left-hand side. Theo McFarland. 2-man tackle on him. I have to say, Namibia's defence hasn't been too bad throughout this contest. They have conceded 3 tries, 2 of which were in the wide channels. And outside of that, they've made some very good tackles on a extremely physical Samoan four-back. Tamatine now going across. Rodney on a little loop around play, but well defended by the Namibians. They may have been offside. Yes, they were on penalty is awarded to Samoa now. Right, we're about to see the mentality difference between these two sides. Do Samoa want to take it 3 points now and try and get that one back, or are they going to go for the corner and try and secure this victory? Number 4 and number 5, both offside there, Luddick and Retief. And we're going to see it now. Samoa are kicking this one for the corner. It just shows you difference in mentality. This side here, Samoa, even with a hefty lead, they have decided that they may as well just keep on going for points. Do you think Rodney Ona is better than Jacob Umanga at 10? I'd say he's different at 10. I think that he's got a little bit more of that fearlessness of running the ball, whereas Jacob Umanga, he will find gaps, but he doesn't really like to go straight into the big boys in the contact. Namibia need a new coach. Says Aino there, but now rolling maul for the Samoans. Samoa Malolo trying to show off his fancy footwork before he is dragged down by Prince Galseb. 5 metres out from the line for Samoa. Tamatine going across to Alamana Matunga. Now quickly used again off to the left-hand side. Not a lot of space to work with there. Prince Galseb does get a clean steal there for the Namibians. Now back across, they are only a couple metres from their own try line, Namibia, so this is where they just have to try and clear this one. Now, you could argue that Samoa, because they turned down the 3, you could now say that that was the wrong choice, as they haven't been able to add the points. Rodney Iona sides against going quickly for that. Now about 28 metres out from the line, it will be the line-out throw for the Samoans again. But all of the time that they are in possession, that is time that Namibia do not have the ball and can't mount that little bit of a comeback. Samoa Malolo ready to throw it in. Well, Samoa being told to close the gap. They weren't too happy about by the looks of Miracle Langi, but confused at the referee. Now going to the front, nicely taken by Samoa. Now a big attack and run from Patelo Mapu. He's going to be a handful and a half if Samoa do make it to that Rugby World Cup. Currently 20 metres out, Tamatine. Going across to Taleni Su. Down by Retief again. Now Tamatine, short ball. Alamana Matunga currently down. There's a knock on from the Samoans. Mistake made, although there will be that concern for... it is at the moment Alamana Matunga, who has stayed down. A moment, we'll go like this. We'll go like that as well. But Tamatine asked off to Samoa Malolo, and then just ripping that ball out of his hands. The work from Lupsa. He scored the lone points at the moment for the Namibians in this contest. Just a few drinks going around at the moment. Tamua Manu having some. Right, time is off at the moment, they have said. Looks like Theo McFarlane just taking this opportunity to have a bit of a chat to the referee. Wish all, says Jonathan there. But yeah, hopefully you are doing well, Jonathan. Hope you are excited for the upcoming rugby weekend. There are plenty of matches taking place. I believe we've got 5 internationals that we will be covering on the channel, including a nice big build-up for South Africa versus Italy, as well as the match between England and New Zealand. Bit of a build-up on that one too. About 48 and a half minutes through. Wish the All Blacks could take England, but I think England may prevail. Yeah, see, it's a tricky one, and I've done my preview. I haven't actually edited it yet, but I've recorded it, and I went with a bit of a bold prediction. But yeah, I think England will be tough. New Zealand will have to be on their A game. Once fed in again, Namibia 10 metres out from their own goal line. Now kick downfield from Lubsa again. Nicely taken at the back after a bit of a fumble from Pelo Maleko. Jacob Umanga deciding to go back with a 50-22 attempt, but it has gone deep into the middle of the park. Seemed like it was curling back inwards. That is a very nice kick from the Namibian 9, but it doesn't find touch either. Jacob Umanga this time looking for the 50-22 again, but back covering is Rizzo. Now taken again. This is becoming a game of force-back between these two sides. Jacob Umanga going for the chip a mile high, taken by Namibia. And now just jumping on the breakdown for Jonathan Tamatine. Now another kick coming downfield from Kisting. I don't know if Namibia can win this game by giving the ball back to Samoa time and time again. Just seems at the moment that the tactics are slightly off. They're looking to run it back this time, though. That is a good move, although it looks like that is going to be a penalty, or it could have been the penalty for Tamua Manu. It looks like one of the Namibian players has actually hurt himself there. Adrian Luddick, he flew in and tried to clean out a Samoan, and it did not go well. He sat himself down in that scenario. Little grubber in behind, nicely taken by Umanga. Passes out to Miracle Langi. Trying to break through the halfback's tackle, does so. Now 22 metres out from the line, 50 minutes through now. And Samoa in the hot attacking position once more. Cross kick attempted from Umanga. And it was almost claimed by Namibia. A great jump for Divin Rizzo. Another knock on, or it might have come off a foot, they've said. So Tamua Manu, it's going to be a play on again. Alamana Matunga. I'm back across to Samoa Malolo. Now, advantage is now over for that initial knock on. A huge driving tackle by, I believe it would have been Walla as well as Van der Vesthuizen. A bit of a counter ruck from the Namibians as well. And they have managed to get this ball back in the breakdown. Now, shuffling around just outside of that 22. In fact, I think he tried to take that back into the 22 there. Now back across again to the right-hand side. 6 turnovers won by Namibia throughout this game compared to the 2 of Samoa. So breakdown-wise, you'd say Namibia have actually been the better side out there on the field. Handling errors-wise, I think that both sides are close to the double figures at the moment. And that one's going to be kicked in a touch by Namibia. A couple changes just about to be made off of their bench. We do see, I believe it is Lutig. And also in the number 20 jersey, it will be Conradi. Making the switches now, hoping that they will make a big impact and change this momentum a little bit. It was the initial tackle from Van der Vesthuizen to force the Samoans backwards. A 2-man tackle on Sama Malolo. Now, that's actually a couple changes being made for Samoa as well here. I do see that a number, I want to say that was Connor Tupai. He has made his way on. And then also Lemos Satelli, I believe, in the number 17 jersey off the top of my head. I hope that's correct. Or Lamos Satelli, I should say, for the pronunciation more so. Not a side entry. It looked a little bit like one, to be fair. But it's play on for now. I actually thought that we might have seen a penalty against Luddick from earlier when he charged in and ended up just trying to clean out off his feet in the breakdown. Connor Tupai going across now to Sanarevi, who is also on the field for the Samoans, Tamua Manu. It's good work in the breakdown from Samoa to keep this ball on their side. Now Tupai. Now almost breaking through the gap for Taleni Su, but it's another knock on, but another penalty awarded to Samoa here. Just been a few too many throughout this match in terms of that penalty count now starting to creep up against the Namibians. Connor Tupai decides to take the quick dab, going to the short side. That is beautifully picked out by that man. So we see there Tuna Tuitama also on the field, but they're 5 metres out from the line for Samoa, all but going in for a try in that scenario. The big chop and tackle of the ankles. There's going to be another advantage, is it, for Namibia being offside? Yep, they are going back for the 2 offside. That is against Van der Vesthuizen. Lamosatelli might be the best American prop we ever produced, says Justin there. Tuna Tuitama already being busy in this matchup. So while we've got another stoppage, I am going to have a quick wee look and see whether or not Italy have announced their side. So I know that Ireland, Australia, South Africa. Yep, Italy have announced their side for their game up against South Africa. They did it 5 hours ago. About the same time, actually, as the South Africans with the maths. Taitai Tuimonga making his way off, and that is going to be for the experienced veteran and Michael Alatoa. Going to the front of the line out this time. Very nice set play there from Samoa, and that is over the line. The try awarded, and it is going to be Alamanda Matunga who pops up with the possession. And that is the one that should almost win this game now. For the Samoans, there shouldn't quite be enough time remaining. But just getting that one, not even going for the big lift in the line out either, just throwing it into the front. We have Namibia lose this game, it's all over for them. They can forget about going to the World Cup, says Chris Creations, exactly right. With the way that the table sits, it would mean that Samoa and Belgium, whoever wins that game on Wednesday next week or Tuesday, depending on your time zone, they would make their way to the World Cup. Namibia would still be playing up against the Brazilians, and that one would be to try not to finish last in this repecharge competition. I do see Namibia being more than capable enough in that game up against the Brazilians, but they haven't found their rhythm in this competition. And any time that they've been going all right, they've just had drop balls that have hurt them. That's a good kick from Jacob Umaga from the sideline. Gets it over, makes the score now 26 points to 3 in favour of this Manu Samoa side. So I think they should be safe in this contest. Put the cake to bed. This match is over, says Justin in there as well. Connor Tapai, they are just showing that he is on the field for Jonathan Tamatene. It was his idea to go for that quick tap initially to try and push the pace that little bit more. Now, just talking about the Sevens. Of course, Sevens coming back in the very near future, only 2 weeks away from the next Sevens competition. We are going to be covering it on the channel alongside all the other matches that are taking place. It's going to be a very hectic time. The URC starting back up on that same weekend. But we're going to try our best to cover as much as physically possible. One's going to be kicked on. Nicely taken again. Now charging forward for the Samoans. Samoa Manu. I'm back across. Oh, big bump off from Miracle Whailangi. Even if Samoa makes it through, they need big improvements next year. How many butchered opportunities? Yeah, they've had a lot of mistakes, including that one, just having a knock on there for the Samoans. Although I will say, at least if they win that game up against Belgium, they know that their long term is the World Cup. Whereas if you don't win that game, what is the long term? Is it 2031? Is it just next year of the Pacific Nations Cup? Like I think for Samoa, they need a goal to aim towards of wanting to improve. And, you know, that World Cup's the perfect example of a great thing to look at and a great milestone goal to try and have, definitely with the fact that it is a round of 16 this year in the Rugby World Cup. They could find themselves going through to the round of 16, finding a side ranked, you know, relatively decently, like a Scotland or an Argentina, for instance, and that could be a really intriguing type of matchup. Just going to look through at what Samoa did in their Rugby World Cup. They actually only had a 1-point loss to England, 18 points to 17. They lost by 9 up against the Argentines. They lost by 6 against Japan, and they were able to beat Chile. So, you know, if they can do that again, it would be really impressive. We have their respect for covering all rugby content, not just the biggest teams. Means more than you think to smaller rugby nations or rugby smaller nations fans. Says First 15 Rugby. And yeah, greatly appreciated you being here. I assume you have still been flat out doing videos and whatnot. We've talked about doing a collab for a very long time. I finally need to start to organise something, don't I? Definitely with us sitting around November. Because who is your home side is England, isn't it? First 15 Rugby. I think. I could be wrong, though. I feel like you've got it in the picture. 1 second. I'm going to cheat here for a second. Yeah, that's an English kit. So who knows? Maybe we even try and do something this weekend. If you can. That one. It's going to be nicely taken over the touchline for the Namibians. And your work rate is unmatched. You will crack it big. No, it says Eagle Cap. Now, getting ready to kick this one. Yeah, it is a random hour here in New Zealand. Almost 6 a.m. on a Thursday morning. I have got work after this, which I will be going to within about an hour and a half of finishing this one. But, yeah, it's a game and it's a World Cup qualification tournament that I felt like I wanted to do at least 2 games for. Now, I did have to miss the first ones because of the overlaps, which always sucks. Because, you know, ideally no overlaps would be great. Now ready to throw it in. Van der Westerhuizen. Now going off to the right-hand side. Big collision there. Sama Malolo off the field. So Sanarevi hitting that one up. And he is still relatively fresh at this point in time. Little kick attempted in behind again from Samoa. Just starting to play the territory game. And it's gone into touch. Jacob Umaga is almost able to boot that one back infield. And then that could have been on for all money there. England indeed. I'm absolutely slacking on content. So I need to get on the horse again. I'll be at Twickenham this weekend. Best of luck. Ooh. To be fair, I feel like being at the game at Twickenham is much better than just coming on for a post-match review. So hopefully you thoroughly enjoy it. It's going to be a massive game. Do let me know your prediction. I went with a bold one on my preview. I'm not going to say it just yet because it's one that will get me in trouble. But that probably tells you who I've backed to win that game. But yeah, do let me know. Will England get the job done? Very close the last few times at Twickenham as well. A 25-25 draw in 2022. And then last year, just the 2 points separating the two sides now. Namibia with the ball in hand, sitting 12 metres out from their own line. Conrade hits it up. Oh, almost charged down there by Samoa. Two players actually turned their back, so they didn't see where that one was going. Lol, damn, says the AI underdog pick. But as you guys know, I'm terrible at predictions. As a Namibian, bit sad to see Namibia won't qualify. Yeah, it's going to feel weird, the Rugby World Cup without Namibia, just because, like someone mentioned, the last 7 Rugby World Cups, we have seen Namibia there. This year, it's going to be Zimbabwe, or for 2027, I should say. But, you know, yeah, very interesting to see where Namibia go from here. That's a good mark called by Lobster. Just the last 20 minutes now of this matchup. I should mention score is 26 points to 3. Scoreboard has just updated itself. And this one kicked into touch. I feel like Namibia are in almost defense mode at the moment. It seems like they haven't really been able to get much of an attack going, but they also don't want to risk going for something massive. England don't deserve to be favourites. All Blacks deserve the ultimate respect. But there are more vulnerabilities to this New Zealand team than ever. Yeah. And I look back at that 2022 one, and, you know, New Zealand were up by about 19 points with 10 minutes remaining, and England managed to fire back. So something about being a home game at Twickenham, you just feel like England won't let this one slip too easily. And it's going to take a very big effort from New Zealand. Oh, that's overthrown. Namibia going for the wide cutout pass, and it goes over the top into touch. How's it all, says Stephanie. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well currently. Namibia, they have got themselves the 3 points. So it's looking like will be Belgium versus Samoa next week to determine who makes their way through for that last Rugby World Cup spot. And goes Samoa. Says Emilj in there too. And yeah, they played a very good game of rugby. 26 points on the board. Va'a Pilomaleko, one of the try scorers. Also Jonathan Tamatene. We saw Alamana Matonga, and then also Latrell Koiung. I always pronounce his name terribly. Akiong, I should say. Oh, that's going to be another penalty. New Zealand back 3, need to spend all day night catching the high balls in training. Yeah, I think with George Ford and Freddie Stewart, it is a given that we're going to see quite a few, unless it's reverse psychology from England. Maybe they're going to go for a lot more attack rather than those up and unders. Another penalty awarded to the Samoans there. To be fair, not a bad score. Thought Samoa would beat us by 100. Yeah, see, Namibia have been a bit interesting in this competition, haven't they? They haven't been their normal selves in terms of, like, normally you'd say a Samoa-Namibia match can be close to a 50-50 if both sides were playing their best rugby. Maybe you'd give the advantage to Samoa just a little bit, but, like, Namibia would normally be a bit more competitive with them than this scoreline. Grayling, he is making his way off, and that is going to be for Jurgen Meyer, making his way off of the bench. Only 18 minutes remaining. We're starting to get more into that set piece like we saw throughout the first half, where we saw a total of 26 set pieces between the lineouts and the scrums. Oh, that was a beautiful inside ball, but just hits the hand of one of the Namibian players. And George Ford is a defensive liability, though, and gets some ball carriers down his channel, 3 metres every time. And Vin Smith is far better defender, says first 15. Yeah, it's interesting that he got completely taken out of the side, Finn Smith. I guess they're just going similar to the All Blacks. They've gone Bowden Barrett, so I guess it's just the day to put your experienced 10 out there and go the boys. And also, since last Namibia Rugby has been falling, though, or failing, though, says Shri. That is true. And what do you think it is that's made it struggle? Is it the coaching? Is it the lack of funding? Is it the player pool at the moment, or is it just the lack of rugby that they are playing throughout a calendar year? I don't know about that England-Australia game. Can't really get a read on it, but the AB's coming out the sheds in the second half, needs to find another gear. And yeah, they've actually been building a pretty decent bench at the moment for New Zealand, which is great news. They are known as a side of the past who were able to finish matches in that last 20 minutes or so, which is the period we've reached here. And it looks like Samoa trying to get a little bit of that reputation as well. Grabbing him behind from Jacob Umanga, and it just dribbles into touch again. Everything seems to be going downhill towards that sideline at the moment. Lack of rugby, that is as part-time and have full-time jobs. Says Shri there, and Finn Smith is the future. And Chile, USA Tonga lucky as they got Samoa's C team. Says Robert T, And yeah, I mentioned about how for Samoa, of course, they have to win next week. That's number one goal for the Samoans. But having more games in this calendar year, I think is kind of a good thing for Samoa. Yes, it's probably been extremely stressful and one of those ones that at times I would have felt like they weren't going to qualify. But I don't know. If they had have already qualified, let's just say in that game up against the USA, yes, they would have saved a lot of stress, but they wouldn't have had 2 matches for young players up against Chile. They wouldn't have 3 matches up against other teams here. And instead, they would have only played 1 game up against the Italians. So they got an extra 4 matches, Samoa, by playing poorly at times. And I guess that's a good thing. As long as, like I said, they have to qualify, though, because or else if they lose to Belgium, then they'd say we had 4 extra games and still couldn't get the job done. Thank you, Hamish. Awesome rugby broadcaster, please hire this man, says Justin. And man, what's going on with US rugby? So much potential, but going nowhere. Tier 2 nations need more competition against each other. Yeah, see, once they add in that one with the 12 top teams, you know, the 6 nation sides, the rugby championship sides, as well as Japan and Fiji, they need to have some sort of competition for lower ranked sides. The next, I would say 10 or so sides, have them all play each other. That's going to be a break and run here for the Namibians. Ball on the inside. This is a big chance. Yeah, to try and get something going. There's the knock on, though. Andrew Ken's trying to get that offload away and couldn't quite do it. But yeah, they need to be playing up against sides outside of their own continents, I feel, because, you know, you see the European sides and they go right up against each other and then they go on to play other areas and they seem to struggle that little bit more. And I would go as far as saying if it's not enough of a draw card for those sides to play in some sort of competition, add an Argentina 15, add a South African 15, add a New Zealand 15, an Australian 15, whoever wants to chuck a side in, England, chuck them in. And then they can be the draw card that gets you that international viewing audience for a lower ranked competition. With that 4th try, Samoa will be now, or will be top now with 10 points, says Mike. Yeah, although no matter what happens in that game, unless it's a draw up against Belgium, it's just pretty much winner stays on. And when it goes through to that World Cup competition, USA Rugby is upside down. Most players are college age or above, and we need grassroots youth investment. Now passed across. Challenge, pick a game plan in 3 words for both New Zealand and England. What should the focus areas be? I think New Zealand... See, I want to say high ball, but that's wasting 2 words rather than 1. So I'll say aerial. They have to make sure that they're strong under that. I would say cohesion would be a good one for New Zealand. They made a few switches and they need that to work. And also, I would say just impact in general off the bench. So I'll just say bench as that 3rd word. For England, tactical. Jacob Umaga kicking this one towards the sideline. Does just manage to get it out. Also for England, I think that it has to be physicality because they've got that 6-2 split off of their bench so they can fully use their forwards, empty the gas tank and then make the change. And then also I would say, I want to say set piece, but that's 2 words. Can I put a dash so that it's set piece? Because I think that scrums and lineouts are key for England as well throughout the match. They got Maru Atoje in there. Now big run forward from Samoa, moving up to the halfway line. Has to be breakdown on lineout. Says the underdog, and that one's going to be knocked back by Namibia again. Then I think it was knocked on by Samoa, but the ball is available for the Namibians. Bounce pass. They are yet to score themselves a try in this game, and I believe that will be the new goal for Namibia. Just make sure they get something from this contest. And good work, says verse 15. Off to the left-hand side. How much time is left in this game? Still another 12 minutes remaining in this contest, and Namibia are yet to get themselves the try. They had a great chance before. Just that little bit of a mistake. Samoa, they have booked themselves that spot through to the next match. They were going to be playing Belgium anyway, but now it is definitely for the winner to go through to that Rugby World Cup. Nicely taken by Roniona. Just moving towards another team. How do you feel, or how does everyone feel about Henry Pollock? Personally, for me, I think he is box office. Says Mike, we talking about him player-wise or personality-wise, Mike? Because it seems like some people like one but not the other. Oh, that's a hard collision on the knees of Van der Vesterhuizen. Now, Namibia moving up to 22 metres out. Bit of a step there from the number 22, Andre Vandenberg. And that is straight into the hands of the 13. JC now scores it. And that is Namibia's first try in this contest. It would be great to see a final push from Namibia. Yeah. And they've finally got it. And it seemed so easy. There was a bit of space on the outside that they were able to work with. Player says, Mike, I think he's got a ton of talent, Henry Pollock, and if he continues the way that he is, he's going to be one of those guys. Like, they've talked about him as a potential breakthrough player of the year nomination, which you'd have to say, like, it's pretty hard to take it off him for what he's been able to achieve throughout this year. Henry Pollock is a good player who likes to get under your skin. Says JB, is the DuPont assassin playing? Says, I am nutty. The DuPont assassin. Who are we talking? I thought last DuPont injury... Oh, we're talking about the one that made him wear the face mask in the World Cup, right? What was his name? I can't quite remember. I think that was actually Johan Dazel, wasn't it? And what are Belgium's chances? Did anyone know? It's honestly really hard to judge because we saw Samoa beat Brazil by a big margin. We saw Namibia get beaten by a few more points by Samoa here than they did up against Belgium. I would say that Samoa, on the betting line, you'd probably say they're supposed to win by about 15, but it's very hard to tell if that is actually accurate. I attended England versus New Zealand in 2014 as a 9-year-old. Johnny May scores early. Told my dad thought All Blacks were supposed to be good, and then we got battered. Never making that mistake again, says the first 15. Yeah. Gotta love an early try to build a bit of confidence, and then, that's a bit of a bouncy kick there from Samoa. Sitting 5 metres out from their own line now. Lobster kicks it downfield. I will mention also missed kick there. Pollock is like de Klerk or Will Skelton. You love them if you are on their side, but want to slap them if you're not. Says Justin. Now 9 minutes remaining in this contest. Yeah, see, a lot of people don't like Henry Pollock because of his celebrations of scoring tries. But, I don't know. I don't mind it that much because he seems like he can take it as well as he gives it. And that's the main thing. Like, as long as he's not one of those players who, you know, he does something and then complains when someone does it to him. It seems to be that, like, he's now playing into that almost villain role per se when he's out there on the field. Like, and the crowd seem to love it when he's out there. 8 minutes now left, and we are going to have a scrum feed due to a forward pass from the Samoans. I'm not sure if Samoa are taking it seriously or Namibia is trying their best. But no, there's nothing they could do before the game started. Says Mark. Yeah, we just see that pass there just going a bit too far forward for the Samoans. This is actually, compared to the first half, a lot more free-flowing in the second 40 minutes of this game. Set pieces, we saw a total of 13 scrums throughout the first half. We've only seen 3 throughout the second half. Lineouts-wise, that is where it has been made up big time. We've seen a total of 17 lineouts in the second half. Who scored for Namibia? It was the try for JC Nell in that number 13 jersey. Sam Warburton said something very accurate against the All Blacks. If you play your best or very best game, you buy yourself a chance of winning. That's it. Play your best and you get a chance. That's it. Says first 15. Saw him get a mauling of a Fiji player and he took it well. Says JB. Yeah, those Fijians hit pretty hard. So you do get a definite reality check if you go into that game with overconfidence. But, yeah. Like, he's still got a hugely bright future. Many more years, as long as he can avoid those injuries. Now, that ball about to be fed in by Andrew Kens. I've forgotten how to speak. Who's been eye-appealing in the Samoan team? I would say for Samoa so far, I mean, the generic one would be saying someone like a Miracle Faialangi, but I actually feel like in that number 8 jersey, we've seen more from Patelo Mapu throughout this game. Rodney On has impressed me in this number 10 jersey throughout this game. And Va'a Pilomaliko having a lot of meters made as well. trying to think of anyone else. I mean, McFarlane's been solid. He stepped up as a captain in this match in the way that he needed to. Now looking to go away to the right-hand side here for Namibia. Dragged down in the breakdown. I think it was Rodney Ona trying to get the steal, and it's kicked out on the full by the Namibians. A little bit of pressure there on Daysil. I think Samoa have still got enough time to be able to get themselves one more try in this contest. Same can be said about Namibia, though, if they can survive this last Samoan attack. Oh, yeah, no, they are just saying about Daysil with the cheekbone of Antoine Dupont. Yeah, well, it's quite interesting because the Namibian player in the World Cup who snapped his leg in half, Milan, he was actually playing in the NPC this year. I heard first game sevens player, Va'apilo, was really good. He is a very talented sevens player. He's had over 100 running meters in this match, and they took him off relatively early for Tuna Tuitama, another great player in the sevens setup. And the thing is, now that Samoa are considered as Division 3 in the sevens, I think they're going to lose a few of those guys who have already started going in the different direction. Like, it's going to be very hard to attract someone like a Va'apilo Maliko back now. 11 international first-tier games this weekend, plus at least 4-tier EU international games, plus under-20 international games. You see that match between South Africa and France, that actually kicks off in about 24 hours' time for the under-19s, doesn't it? I was initially wanting to cover that one, but then I realised it will actually overlap with coaching a junior cricket. So it means that I wasn't actually able to do any of the under-20s, which is a bit of a shame, or under-19s. Now back across to the left-hand side, bit of a shuffle there. Now ball is available again for the Samoans, sitting only the 12 metres out from the try line. Alatoa does leave him, should have paired him, or should pair him with Va'apilo with Malani Matavao from Moana Pacifica. Says Mark. Could be a great option. Malani Matavao, he's one of those guys who I feel like, oh. Okay, there was an offside initially. I thought there was about to be a fight out there. France played South Africa last week in the under-19s. Says, I am nutty. Yeah, this weekend it's the Irish, isn't it? France won. Is that why I haven't heard anything about that game? And geez, I had no idea this game was on. Says Samoa on POV. So I will let you know, next game for Samoa is up against Belgium. They are playing at 5:30 a.m. Samoan time. In fact, 4:30 a.m. Samoan time on Wednesday next week. And they are playing Belgium. If they win that game, they qualify for the Rugby World Cup. If they lose that game, they are out. And Belgium will qualify. I'm so happy Pollard is playing. I've been missing him. Says Mohodin. Looks like another change is about to take place. Shifuka making his way onto the field. That is for Johan Kutsia. But it looks like it is going to be a line-out for Samoa here. How did Belgium do with Brazil? Really close game. 30 points to 27 in favour of Belgium. They were losing at 79 minutes, then scored themselves a last-minute try. They did end up getting a red card, Belgium, which I think did make that game a little bit closer. There's a big knock-on from Samoa there. So Namibia now have got themselves the position just 3 metres out from their own line, going for a cross kick. Nicely taken there. But yeah, they did narrowly sneak by. Had they lost, and with the way that this game sits, if Belgium had lost that game, Samoa would have already qualified now for that Rugby World Cup. And that Belgium versus Samoa match would have been made a little bit redundant. And Belgium has no Romanian ref, like against Spain, says I am nutty. Now ready to put this ball in. Oh, big clean out there and the breakdown. The ball is out. And that is going to be the penalty now going the way of Namibia with just the 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock now. Do you think Belgium will win? I think Samoa should beat Belgium on Wednesday next week. But at the same time, you just don't know. Like, Belgium is a team that I've never been able to get a read of in terms of how good they are. So it's going to be great that they're playing up against a little bit of a familiar side for myself and Samoa. But then the same thing can be said about Samoa, how it's hard to know where they actually are at the moment with their up and down form. What time is Samoa game in South Africa? So that will be, it's the same kickoff time as this matchup. So that will be 5:30 p.m. for you guys in South Africa on Tuesday night. I thought Netherlands would be better than Belgium. Says, I am nutty, so jealous of the strength of the top 14. That league is so strong, 20k plus attendance. Most games incredible, best league in the world. That's going to be not straight. Oh no, in fact, sorry, knock on from the Namibians, leaving the 90 seconds left. But yeah, the top 14 is so heavily supported. And I would say, like, it's always criticised the fact that France don't commit sometimes to international rugby, but you can understand why when you see how much money and how much commitment is going into the top 14. Like, no matter where it is being played around France, there are sides that are well and truly getting that massive level of support. See you Saturday for England All Blacks, Hamish. Keep well and thanks. Says JB. So yeah, it is greatly appreciated you popping in. 60 seconds remaining in this contest before the end. And the Samoans, they will get themselves the win in this matchup. When is your next live stream? Next live stream will be, I believe it's going to be the South Africa-Italy game. And we will be starting relatively early, probably about an hour and 10 minutes build-up for that one, just to go through the weekend of rugby that is happening. How does this repechage work? Is it like most wins by performance, as the last say, winning the whole comps? Or is it pool stage with finals and stuff? So it is just a pool stage. And then whoever goes through, it's pretty much round robin. So this is what it's set like after the first round. After this round, Samoa will be on 10 and Belgium will be on 9. And then from there, it is pretty much a head-to-head. Because of how close they will be, it becomes a knockout game. So next game is the final per se for Samoa and Belgium. Whoever wins that will qualify. Whoever loses it misses out. Looks like Samoa, they have got themselves the advantage. Now, Rodney Ona is going for the cross kick. It does go into touch, so they will go back for the penalty, and I believe they will just kick this one into touch. Now, for these Samoans, what do you reckon to the Super Rugby wages? Is DMAC on the big bucks? I think it's a fair bit below their true market value in is France. DMAC in France earns 500k plus. Yeah, I think a lot of sides would sign DMAC for a decent amount. I'm not actually sure what they get paid in Super Rugby for those top-level guys. Right, quick tap taken by Umanga, puts it out. And that is the end of this matchup. Namibia, we've got there. Is Namibia out? They are. And Namibia winning the second half. Yes, Samoa actually going into their shell a little bit for that second half, but they were in control for this match. And it does now mean that Brazil, as well as Namibia, they cannot go through to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. Belgium or Samoa, they are the two options, and they will be playing off next week. Can't imagine a Rugby World Cup without Samoa, says Mike. It means that they have to get themselves the win in around the 5 days' time. How has Scott CO been for Samoa? I actually never said that man's name. A lot of scrums, so a lot of practice in that department. Not a huge amount of advantages won, though. But we saw a lot more of Sama Malolo. I didn't see a huge amount of Tai Tuimonga in that front row either, in terms of open play. And also big ups for being up, calling the game. Hamish, cheers, mate. See you at the ABs. Says the AA underdog pick. And their two top 14 best paid positions are 9 and tight head. Says I am nutty, and thank you, Hamish. Your hard work is very appreciated. And yeah, we are going to be back for that early Wednesday morning match on the channel as well. So be sure to check that out. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We will see you for the hectic rugby weekend that is coming up. And I will see you all for the next one.